the Monday Night Wars. The Monday Night Wars was a fierce battle for television dominance between WWE's Monday Night Raw and WCW's Monday Nitro. WCW, led by Eric Bischoff and financially backed by Ted Turner, gained the upper hand early with star-studded signings like Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, and Scott Hall, leading to the creation of the NWO, one of wrestling's hottest factions. WCW's dominance lasted from 1996 to 1998, during which Nitro consistently beat Raw in ratings. However, WWE rebounded with the Attitude Era, crafting larger-than-life characters like Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, and Triple H. They introduced groundbreaking storytelling that captivated fans, ultimately regaining dominance and forcing WCW into a downward spiral. By 2001, WCW was hemorrhaging money, and WWE purchased its assets. But what if WCW had turned things around and won the war instead? Eric Bischoff avoids over-reliance on the NWO. The NWO was both WCW's greatest success and its downfall. While it helped WC surpass WWE in ratings for 83 consecutive weeks, the faction soon became bloated, with an endless cycle of betrayals, reunions, and spin-offs. This oversaturation alienated fans and made storylines predictable. If WCW had capped the NWO storyline with a decisive climax, perhaps a WCW and NWO War Games match at Starrcade 1998, and allowed the faction to dissolve, it could have avoided the burnout and prolonged its popularity. WCW creates new superstars instead of relying on veterans. One of WWE's strengths was building new talent. The rise of Stone Cold, The Rock, and Mick Foley reinvigorated wrestling. Meanwhile, WCW was stuck with aging stars like Hogan and Nash, who used their creative control to stay on top, burying young talent. A winning WCW would need to push its younger stars: Chris Jericho as the next rebellious anti-hero, akin to Stone Cold; Eddie Guerrero as a cocky, opportunistic main event heel; Booker T as WCW's homegrown top babyface; Goldberg as an undefeated force, properly booked without being derailed at Starrcade 1998. By elevating these talents, WCW could have secured its future instead of being a nostalgia act. Bret Hart is used correctly. After the infamous Montreal Screwjob in 1997, WCW acquired Bret Hart, but he was grossly misused. Instead of being booked as the company's new top babyface, he was lost in the shuffle, playing second fiddle to Hogan and the NWO. A proper WCW strategy would have involved Bret Hart immediately feuding with Hollywood Hogan in early 1998, winning the WCW World Heavyweight Championship in a defining moment at Starrcade 1998, a long-term program with Goldberg leading to an epic rivalry similar to Austin vs. Rock. By treating Bret as a legitimate main eventer, WCW could have captured disillusioned WWE fans and solidified itself as the premier wrestling promotion. WCW adapts to the changing product. The Attitude Era revolutionized wrestling with edgy reality-based storytelling. WCW, however, was stuck with outdated 80s booking tropes and failed to evolve. If WCW had leaned into edgier, youth-driven content while maintaining its high-quality cruiserweight division, it could have appealed to both casual and hardcore fans. A Nitro rebrand, similar to WWE's shift from cartoonish gimmicks to gritty realism, could have revitalized interest. Ted Turner keeps funding WCW. A major factor in WCW's downfall was the AOL-Time Warner merger, which led to the company being deemed unprofitable and ultimately canceled. If Ted Turner had retained financial control and continued to support WCW, the company could have weathered financial difficulties and stayed on the air. The aftermath: WWE goes bankrupt or becomes a secondary promotion. Without the success of the Attitude Era, WWE likely fails to compete. Either it goes bankrupt or it is forced into a secondary role, similar to how WCW eventually declined in real history. WrestleMania is dethroned. Starrcade becomes wrestling's biggest event. Without WWE's dominance, WrestleMania might not hold the prestige it does today. Instead, Starrcade becomes the industry's marquee event, with WCW shaping wrestling's biggest moments. No Ruthless Aggression Era, no John Cena. WWE's 2002 rebirth gave us future legends like John Cena, Brock Lesnar, and Randy Orton. Without WWE's resurgence, these talents may never have become stars, or they may have ended up in WCW with different career trajectories. WCW expands globally, partnering with NJPW and AAA. WCW had working relationships with NJPW and AAA. If it had won the Monday Night Wars, it could have expanded into Japan and Mexico, turning wrestling into a truly global empire. No TNA, no AEW, WCW is the sole alternative. Without WWE's monopoly, there is no need for alternatives like TNA or AEW. WCW remains the industry's leader, shaping wrestling for decades. WWE talent migrates to WCW. Stars like The Rock, Triple H, and even Vince McMahon himself might eventually jump ship, leading to a complete power shift. Conclusion: a wrestling world without WWE's dominance. If WCW had won the Monday Night Wars, the entire landscape of wrestling would be different. WWE, as we know it, would likely not exist, and instead of WrestleMania, fans might be looking forward to Starrcade as the biggest wrestling spectacle of the year. With the right mix of long-term booking, financial stability, and fresh talent, WCW could have cemented itself as the definitive wrestling brand, forever altering the course of sports entertainment history.